award them, or the award scheme? Any of you could take it, maybe you from the ministry. Something.
Thank you, Martin. As you all know, trade facilitation is a key factor when it comes to international trade efficiency. And it's very important for economic growth, because if goods move fast, then you save time, you save cost, and you become competitive. So we're talking about competitiveness and efficiency here. When you talk about trade facilitation, the primary goal is to move exports and imports, that's trade, across borders at a cheaper rate, faster, and then also efficiently, but not compromising on safety and then security. Safety, that's quality, and then security. So this is so important in international trade that recently, as you recall, the whole world signed on to the trade facilitation agreement in Bali at the WTO. So this is very, very important.
And clearly talks about the entire chain, because if you're talking about the expediency with which they deliver, so we are looking at speed and accuracy, but not compromising quality, then it means right from the source, maybe the raw material, to the final consumer elsewhere around the world. That's quite a huge chain you're talking about. And how do you intend monitoring all of these?
Morning and morning to your listeners as well. Yes, as Patrick rightly said, the trade facilitation involves a complete chain from the upstream end of the inventory movement of goods into storage or into processing facilities, the throughput through those processing facilities, right away to a product coming, and then ensuring that this product also eventually gets to the consumer in the market. So along the supply chain, that's quite a long route, as well as they need to securitize it. They need to ensure that quality goods, they need to ensure that illicit goods or fake goods are removed, etc. In the current world environment, to people trying to take advantage of it to undertake nefarious activities as well. So that's part of the control measures. I guess within this particular context, what the ministry and GCNet is collaborating to do is that there are approximately about almost 40 agencies that are connected to what we call an EMDA portal that has been deployed by GCNet. Among these agencies are like ministry department agencies as well as other bodies, complying even those in the private sector like the Ghana Chamber of Commerce and Industry, various statutory bodies or regulatory agencies like GIPC, the Ministry of Finance, Food and Drug Authority, GEPA, etc. All of them at one time or the other during this trade facilitation process get involved, have a role to play, particularly those of them who assess the system from the angle of issuance of permits, issuance of licenses, issuance of exemptions. This play a critical part in the longer supply chain, in that the document that is issued has a security implication. The time it takes, the turnaround time between receipt of application and processing it into a stakeholder or a trade operator getting the document and then using it for his import or export transaction, the turnaround time.
Which would mean that a lot of attention would be on those who will be giving the certification, no? Because they would have to ensure that yes, you've passed all the tests, all the criteria they're looking out for before they issue that certificate.
Before they issue. You may have all the quality, you may have all those things as well, but some agencies do take a relatively longer period of time to do that. Others could do it in a more improved way than others are doing it. I don't want to mention a particular name, but like one agency that was connected to the system, for instance, in November last year, it issued 30 permits, but within that period, 29 permits were issued in one day, which is really great.
And these are faultless permits.
These are supposedly faultless.
Supposedly, yeah. So
let's say, okay, let me withdraw the word. Okay. These are, as it were, from the agency perspectively, good permits, or the people are due it. They deserve it. There are some processes that are involved at the respective agency level, they would say, and for which reason that also contributes to the prompt or otherwise delayed issuance of the permit or the exemption or whatever it is.
Okay. Which means that the longer the delay, the more the negative implication it has on
exactly.
trade
It's for it's for this reason that those entities in particular this time around, one is going to look at them. Somebody issues over 1,000, almost about 3,000 permits in a year. How long does it on average take it to issue those permits? And within the context in relation to the international best practice, if the international best practice that such permits should be issued within 48 hours or less, and it's taking some more than maybe a week to do that, then this is to draw their attention to the fact that they need to up their game. Those who are doing well are to be rewarded, to encourage them to do better. Those who are outside the scope, the thing is to ensure that they are encouraged to reduce the processing time, to ensure that, as Patrick said, expeditiously these can be done within that shortest possible period.
Right, but let me bring Patrick in here. Patrick, does that not mean that if we are now going to deliberately recognize those who are able to work within the internationally accepted time, which is, let's say, 48 hours, wouldn't that mean that there are those who would also, to meet that and be given the recognition, they might compromise on quality and fast track the process only because they want to, give clearance to X number of people so they can meet that standard to also be awarded?
No, I don't think that should be the case, because you're looking at, when you said international best practices.
Okay.
And so you go through the laid down procedures. You have decent connectivity. If you talk about MDAs, you have to go through the system, and there are checks in the system. Okay. There are checks in the system, like any other system. We are not saying it's infallible. People will try, as always, to try and beat the system. But you also monitor. That's why you also put in checks and balances, so that you go through the normal procedures. When you have to follow, you have what called formalities, procedures, and documentation. You have to go through all this, but as fast and as quick as possible. That's the emphasis on it, without compromising on security.
So we're talking about trade facilitation and an award scheme that is being, that is in place to recognize those who are ensuring that Ghana has a good trade facilitation system in place. And the two gentlemen I've been speaking with are still here with me. We are now going to be talking about the criteria of selection. What would you look out for before you say this company or this institution qualifies to be recognized?
Okay, thank you, Martin. First of all, we're looking at a total of about 36 winners, MDAs, including freight forwarders as well.
Okay. The MDA stands for what?
The MDA stands for Ministries, Departments, and Agencies.
Okay.
Ministry, Department, Agencies. Those that routinely issue out licenses, permits, and then exemptions. Okay. So these are some of the causes in the delay in the clearance process. Because sometimes permits, it's not forthcoming. It takes a long time.
A long time before. Okay.
And this.
And that 36 in all, what is it that would inform the selection?
Yes, I'll come to that. That you're looking at the volumes of declarations, how many permits or licenses you issued, then the time, as Manuel said, the time frame within which you issued those permits, and then we also look at, for the freight forward, look at how compliant you were, whether you are compliant, the amount of duties and then taxes that you generated.
Okay.
We're looking at this. So these are some of
these are the key things. Some of the key things you're looking at.
I think Emmanuel can also add on.
Again, you look at stakeholder input as well. Views will be elicited from agents, entities, trade operators who interact or who engage these entities. As far as the volumes process, the turnaround time, the time which it took, these will be systemically generated, so there will be no alarm at all, because it shows in the system that you receive an application on such a certain time. It took you 2 hours, it took you 5 days to do. So on the basis of that, out of the maybe 2,000 or so applications that you process, you were able to do maybe 10% within the standard 4 hours period, or the others you did them in, maybe you did some in 30 or 30% of a 5-day period or whatever. So those will be systemically generated, and it will be obvious for everybody, quite transparent. Beyond that, there will be the stakeholder input as well. There will be, and the inputs will be elicited from the likes of the GUTA, the likes of Importers Export Association, etc., and their viewpoints would also be inputted. Prior to that, there is a quarterly stakeholder meetings that is organized by GCNet in collaboration. All these, most of these entities, and some of these views have already been collated, so they're on record. That during the first quarter, these were the views that were raised, that maybe this was happening, you ought to do this, you ought to do that, or you've done this, continue to do that. And that will be factored into the criteria as well. With regard to the freight forwarders as well, beyond the volumes, there are other criteria like effective duty rate that was paid, customs offense report that were raised against you. Here again, customs as an input. The associations themselves are saying one of the criterion that we would want you to use is the contribution of that particular freight forwarding agency to the development of that particular association. So as much as possible, it will be, these are the factors that will be taken into account.
Sounds very vigorous and
yeah, it ought to be
particular.
It ought to be to satisfy everybody, and it has a national character too. That's not like an Accra thing, because the system is deployed all over the country, and therefore, regardless of the fact that you are conducting business in Takrady or Paga or Afla or whatever it is, beyond that, although the business registration, that's they also, RGD for instance, issue business registration, they would also be part of the MDs that will be on the searchlight. How long does it take them? When the new system that was deployed for them was deployed, the Deputy Minister said that they should be able to ensure that you get your certificates of incorporation within 48 hours. Is that happening? So that if they are, and doing that within, maybe if about 5,000 business registrations were conducted over the period, how many of them were done in this period? The intent of this is to encourage people to try and do well. If at the end of the way, at the end of the period, this is going to be the maiden one, and obviously it's intended to encourage others. If entity A, B, or C wins an award, then you recognize that this is why, maybe we could also do better. They beat us by only 3 points. Next time we should be able to do that. And the awards that are intended are also quite attractive. So
okay, just for the sake of time, we just want to know, when is the launch? We were told that it's going to be launched later today.
Not today, but on the 30th. 30th of March.
March. Okay, which is tomorrow.
Yes,
okay.
At 4 p.m. at Aliza Hotel at the Moti Hall.
Okay.
Northridge.
All right. So we wish you the very best. We'll keep an eye on this as you put it together, and recognize those who are making trade facilitation in the country, a lot better.